Hey guys, so if you've seen this channel before, you've probably seen some of my videos reviewing some of the cheap plug-and-play wireless systems for guitar, bass, violin instruments, and stuff like that. I've reviewed so many of them, I've lost count on how many that I've reviewed, to be honest. So for this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the most important advice that I think I can give you if you're going to use these cheap plug-and-play wireless systems live. I've used a ton of these live, and I do have a certain strategy that I use, and so far using this strategy, I haven't had any dropouts where I haven't been able to use these cheap wireless. Basically, what I'm going to tell you is that you should buy 2 or possibly 3, and it's still going to be less than most, entry-level, nicer, Shure Sennheiser systems. So I'm going to explain why, and I'm going to give you my recommendations on which 2 or 3, or even up to 5 if you want to go crazy with this, systems that you should get. Before we get started, I post videos like this all the time, stuff on wireless in-ear monitors, MIDI programming, finding cheap stuff for musicians on Amazon, stuff like that. If you're interested in seeing more videos like this in the future, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to ring the bell to be notified when I put out new videos, and hitting the like button is a free way to support the channel. Also, don't forget to follow me on my Instagram at Scott Ewell Music. So before we get started, I actually did a giveaway on my last video. I gave away a free pair of wireless in-ear monitors, and when this video comes out is the day that contest ends, so I will be doing the drawing on this video as well. But for this video, I'm also going to be doing a giveaway. I'm going to give away a free Fay wireless guitar system. When I did the review, I got 2 of them, one with the charging case and one that just has the nice case that protects it. I love being able to give back to my subscribers, so I'm going to be doing another giveaway for another wireless guitar system in this video, and I'm going to explain that towards the end of this video. So don't forget to keep watching for that. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so if you've never used these cheap wireless systems, they're very, very basic. It's not really what this video is about, but I'll go over it really fast. So, they kind of look like this. They all look very similar. You have one that's a transmitter, it plugs into your guitar. One that's a receiver, it plugs into your amp or your first pedal or your interface, wherever you're trying to send the signal to, and it works. Almost all of these systems are the same. I have a more in-depth guide on it called What is the Best Cheap Wireless? I have part 1 and part 2 to that video, so check those out if you haven't seen those yet. There'll be a link in the description. But they're all basically the same. They're plug and play, very easy. You don't have to have, external batteries or anything like that. They usually have around like 6 channels to choose from. They have built-in batteries that recharge, so you plug them in like micro USB and you recharge them. Battery life's usually around 5-6 hours, and they have about 100-foot range. They're all almost basically the same. Some of them have little changes, like the Boss system has a longer battery life of about 8 hours. There's a really cool one by NewX, as well as that Fay one that I mentioned earlier, that have a case that charges it. So like it's sitting in there and you can see, this is charging the device and the wireless live in here. So this protects it and charges it. So there's little differences like that. Ultimately, they're all basically very, very similar. The one part where it's really different, and this is the most important part about it, is what frequency it transmits on. A lot of them are on 2.4 gigahertz. Some of them are on 5.8 gigahertz. Some of them are on 900 megahertz. And then there's a few of them that are in like the 860 to 900 megahertz and the upper 500 megahertz. The frequency that it transmits on is the most important part about it. You don't really have to know like what they mean. It's just basically in order for a signal to travel wirelessly, it needs to transmit on a certain frequency. And there's different frequency bands and different frequency ranges that wireless choose to transmit on. That's the most important difference between these systems, and I'm going to tell you why. But first, you do have to understand that with cheaper gear, especially cheaper wireless gear, it has less available channels to find a clear signal to transmit on. So like with these cheap ones, you have like 6 channels that you can choose from to find a clear channel. So if channel 1 is giving you problems, you can switch to channel 2 and so on and so forth. They have about 6 different channels with these cheaper ones. It depends. Some of them have more, some of them have a little less. I have a really nice Sennheiser system. It's a $900 system, way more expensive than these cheap ones, but it has 3,520 frequencies that it can find a clear channel on. Obviously, you have way more options with that system, but that's part of what you're paying for. So with cheaper wireless products, you have less available channels to find a clear channel, which means that you have more of a chance of getting dropouts. Also with cheaper gear, you can use less of them in a frequency band at once. So with these cheaper ones, most of them, they say you can use up to 4 at once. You can use 4 of these wireless at once, all transmitting on different channels. Whereas my $900 Sennheiser says it can go up to 32 can be transmitting at once. So just because you have 3,000 channels on that Sennheiser does not mean you can run 3,000 wireless. That's not the way that it works, and that is only in ideal conditions. So my Sennheiser can use 32 at once in ideal conditions. If there's already a crowded wireless wireless environment, it might not even get that many. So with these, if you only have 4, that's an ideal condition. So you might only be able to use like 2 of them sometimes. So when you buy cheaper, you have less available channels and you can use less of them at once. That just ups the chance of you getting a dropout with these systems. So what is the best solution if you're going to use these cheap systems in order to prevent getting a dropout live? So if you're going to buy cheap, you might as well buy 2 of them, but buy them on 2 separate frequencies. So you can buy 2 of them for $100 and have them on 2 separate frequencies, or you can buy 3, which is what I actually recommend, and have them on 3 different frequencies for about $150. That is still going to be less than, the entry-level Shure system, the Shure BLX, which I've done a review on. That's about $350 to $400. So it's still cheaper than that. But the reason you'd want to do this is if you plug in and one that's on 900 megahertz is crowded and you're getting dropouts from that, switch to your one on 5.8 gigahertz. With that one is giving you dropouts, try switching to the one on 2.4 gigahertz. If you have the more frequency options that you have, the less likely it is that you're going to get a dropout. You're more likely to find a stable signal in one of those groups than if you just have a system on, say, 5.8. If you buy a 5.8 system, 5.8 is crowded at the gig that you're doing, that's it. You have to switch to a cable. But if you had something on a 900 megahertz system, you can try that and see if that works instead. Does that make sense? If one frequency is crowded, might as well have another wireless to try out on a different frequency to see if you can find a clear channel. So far using this method, I haven't had a dropout and I haven't had to use a cable for any of the gigs. I've always been able to find one using this method. So what are the recommendations on the gear that I recommend for this? There's 5 different frequency bands that you can find for this one. I'm going to focus on 3 for right now because they're the most common. One of the least common ones is actually the first one that I recommend you getting is one on a 900 megahertz frequency band. The one that I recommend is the Swift Audio one, the WS50. It might look a little different, they updated a little bit. Links for all these will be down in the description down below. They are all Amazon affiliate links. It's a free way to support the channel at no extra cost to you, so I'd appreciate it if you do use those links. But this is almost always the first one that I recommend to people. It's such a good little wireless. It works with active pickups. Most of these do work with active pickups now, but not every single wireless is going to work with every single guitar setup, pickup, pedals, amps, stuff like that, and I will address that later here at the end. Based on most of my videos, this is actually the most popular one that people buy, and it's the one that most people seem to have positive reviews for. This one is in the 900 megahertz frequency range. It's about $50 to $60, and it fluctuates, on Amazon. If you want a backup option, the Licado, and again, I've done so many of their product reviews, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, but the Licado WS70 is a good backup one. I do see that more people have problems with this one. As far as the guitar pickup, they're like, oh, this doesn't work with my amp or my pedal or something like that. Not often. You can have that with any of these systems. This one, I have more comments saying that that happens than I do on the Swift Audio one. Those are my 2 recommendations. For the second one, 5.8 gigahertz is the frequency that I recommend as an alternative. My 5.8 one that I use is the New X one because it has a carrying case. So I did a whole demo video on that. This one is such an amazing system. I love that it has a carrying case that protects your gear. You push, it charges it in here, so you don't have to worry about charging it between every gig. Just put it back in here, charge it, and then the case will charge both of them, and then you can charge the case. It's just like Apple AirPods or something like that. It's so convenient. That one, however, is $150. If you have the budget to do this, to have, multiple systems, I do highly recommend that one for sure. However, if you are looking for a cheaper one, the one that I use is by Amoon. I did a video for this a long time ago. I think it was like my second wireless that I reviewed. It's a really good one, but they have disappeared off the face of Amazon. I don't really know why. I don't know what happened to them. So the ones I usually recommend are the ones by Licado or Guitaria. If you look at these, are all almost the same. They really are. They look very similar. I guarantee you it's almost the same, components inside. I get a lot of comments saying, can you check out this one? Can you check out this one? Almost all of these are the same. It's the frequency that makes a difference. So if we're looking at a 5.8 one, again, links are down below. Licado or Guitaria ones are usually good. And then the last one, the third one that I recommend, is getting one on 2.4. Quick note, I misspoke here. The next one that I recommend is not just 2.4. It's either one of the next 3, either 2.4, the Fay Wireless, which actually is probably what I would recommend more than 2.4, or the Phenyx Pro one. First one is still 900s. Second one is still 5.8. And then for the third one, choose between one of these 3 that I'm about to talk about. Now, 2.4 is the least reliable. I am doing a video, should be out within the next month or something like that, really explaining in depth what's up with 2.4 gigahertz, why it's the most crowded frequency and why it's the least reliable, but it still works. It still can work, and it often does. More times than not, it does work than it doesn't work. But most of these wireless are about $40. So, I mean, $40 to have something work often, it to me is worth it. This is the one that I have. It's the Guitaria one. It does feel very, very cheap. So, don't drop it or anything for sure. Where again, basically all of these are very, very similar. Get one for $40 in the 2.4 gigahertz range. We just had the Amazon Prime Day, and some of them were like $30. I did just order another one that was like $27, and it has like a headphone or like an aux in. So I'm gonna try that and review that out. But I was like, for $27 for a 2.4 system, that's not the end of the world if it doesn't work. So that is what I recommend. Is those are the three most common ones. Now there are two more frequencies that some of them are on. So this one is actually the one I'm going to be giving away. This is the Brian Fay one, and it comes in a really nice case, which is really nice. I love that about this system. They have two different models, one that charges the case charges it, and then this one where it lives in the case and then you plug in the case, you can see right here, and that charges the wireless. This one, the case itself does not charge the wireless. The case is used to charge the wireless. Did that make sense? I hope it made sense. This is the one I'm going to be giving away at the end of this video. This one is in the ISM band. I had to email them to understand where this is from. It was in the 860 to 900 megahertz frequency. So that is another frequency that this one is in. Check out my video on the Brian Fay Wireless. Links are up above and down in the description if you want to check it out. Really, really nice system, very well designed, but that isn't another frequency band. So if you want to have a fourth option, this one's like $50 as well. The one with the charging case is more. I'm telling you, having a case that charges your wireless for you is really cool. Like, an Apple AirPod thing. I really enjoy that. So that is another option. And last but not least, the only one that I've found that is in the 500 megahertz frequency is this one. And this is by Phenyx Pro, one of my favorite companies that does cheap gear extremely well. The thing that I found is that if you have a lot of other wireless going in 500, this one does not play well with it. So basically with all of my gear that I use in 500, we have like 8 wireless going. We have 3 wireless mics, 3 wireless in-ears, 2 wireless guitars, and a wireless iPad. Most of my gear is in 470 up to 600 megahertz. It's somewhere in there. This one does not seem to play nice with all of that other gear. Again, when you buy cheap, it has a limited number that can be used at once. So this one isn't able to work when I have so much 500 megahertz frequencies already being used. But this is another one that is in 500. So if you want to have another system and have 5 different frequencies covered, you have that option with the Phenyx Pro one. So you can have one in 900 megahertz, one in 5.8 gigahertz, one in 2.4 gigahertz, one in 860 to 900 megahertz, and one in the upper 500 megahertz. All of those would cost you about $250. So if you really want to go crazy with that, you can do that if you want. But those are my recommendations. And again, links to all of those will be down in the description down below. Okay, so that's the hack that I use in order to make these work with these cheaper wireless systems. And the other thing to understand though, and this is important, is that not all these cheap wireless systems will work with every pickup, type of guitar, pedal, amp, stuff like that. Some of them most of them do work with active pickups, some of them don't. It's just the way that it works. So the new X1, this was the one I always had as a spare. This one has worked amazing for me for a long time. However, when I got my GTR-S guitar, by the way, check out my video on that. That guitar is amazing. All the amps, guitar processing pedals are in the guitar. You literally have everything in the guitar. You don't even need a modeler in order to use that guitar. It's crazy. It's awesome. Check out my video I did on that. However, when I did switch over I used to use a Variax, that was my main workhorse. I switched over to that GTR-S. Now this one does not work with it. It clips the signal a little too hot. So this is my main backup for my acoustic one when I gig with my Babbitts over here. This one works great with that. It doesn't work with the GTR-S one. It works great with every other guitar that I have except for that one. So the best thing you can do is when you order this stuff, try it immediately with your guitar. Make sure that it works with your setup. So make sure you try it out. If it does not work, Amazon usually has a really good return policy. It has to be done within a certain window. Try it out. Make sure it works with your system. If you're getting a lot of buzzing from it because you use a fuzz pedal, these wireless aren't going to work for your setup, and you'll have to spend a little bit more, to get gear that is meant to work with that type of setup. Try it out as soon as you get it. If it doesn't work, return it. Don't get upset if it doesn't work. That's just the design of some of these cheaper systems, and there's a reason why it's cheaper. So that is basically it. I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you did, if you made it to the end of this video, just do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. It does a ton to support the YouTube algorithm, feed the algorithm gods, all that good stuff. Again, purchase links for all of them are down below in the description, including my recommendations of which ones to go in which order. Again, using those links is another free way to support the channel at no extra cost to you, so I would appreciate it. And then, just like I said in my last video, it was giving away a free pair of wireless in-ear monitors, so I'm going to do the drawing for that. But before I do that, I am giving away this Fay Wireless system. This is such a nice system. It really is. They sent me both to do for the review, so I wanted to give one of these to you guys. So all you have to do to enter the contest is, one, you have to be a subscriber. So subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and then just leave a comment down below. Basically, anyone who leaves a comment down below who is a subscriber will be entered for the contest. I will be giving this away in 1 week. So everyone who comments between July 19th and July 26th, 2022 is entered to win this wireless system. So yeah, so be sure to leave a comment down below if you want to be entered for this contest. Let's go and do the wireless in-ear monitor system drawing. All right, so the URL, no duplicate users, and pick a winner. All right, Dat Guitar, you win the in-ear monitor system. So I will leave a comment under your comment and let you know about this and get a hold of me. Just in case if you don't get back to me in a couple of days, who's going to be the runner-up? The Real GC. You're going to be the runner-up. Thanks, guys, for entering. And again, don't forget to leave a comment if you want to be entered to win the Fay Wireless guitar system. So that's basically it. Thank you guys again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out some of my other videos. I've reviewed so many cheaper wireless in-ear monitors and wireless, mics, guitar, bass systems, stuff like that. So check out the video. Check out my playlist on cool and cheap music gear. I also, if you are interested in having good wireless system, like a lot more reliable system, I've done reviews on the Sennheisers and the Sures and the higher end models as well. So be sure to check those out. Also, don't forget to follow me on my social media pages at Scott Ewell Music on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Check out some of those other videos by clicking the links on your screen now. Again, don't forget to drop a comment if you want to be entered into winning that Fay Wireless system. Thank you guys again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.